Star Citizen had a Planet Content Team Q&A where they talked about work on the new star system Pyro, but also Nyx and upcoming planetary features, terrain, rivers, biomes, and the ever-evolving development of the gameplay area. I'll be summarising and giving some context to these questions and answers, and you can see the full Q&A in the links below. I do want to make a bit of a point to start with though, on the road to Pyro. So this is something that was coined as a phrase in an Inside Star Citizen episode recently. Jared made it very clear in this Star Citizen Live that they are working on Pyro. It is the road to Pyro currently, but they do not commit to it being completed this year. The majority of the focus for the Persistent Universe teams are on Pyro and getting it out and all this sort of supporting tech, because there's quite a lot going on that's not just Pyro that sort of supports Pyro getting into the game. He said he's not saying when. That's all. He's not saying when Pyro is going to be released, and that's all he means by it. It could very well be released later this year, but he's not committing to anything. So let's go into the questions. Will there be planets with multiple biomes? Yes, they very much want planets with multiple biomes, and eventually something as diverse as Earth. They will add more diversity to the appropriate planets and moons as they have the tech and assets to support that. They will include things like waterfalls and swamps and lava and lots of different things. Pyro and Nyx will be adding and pushing the biome diversity when they come in. Will Stanton get any canyons or features from Pyro and that sort of tech as it advances? So we're going to see older planets and the Stanton system evolve as they get the ability to add massive craters and canyons. We will see them. You'd also see asset sets move and change as well. They might touch up or add different types of boulders and rocks to planets if it makes sense. What new minables will we find in Pyro? Well, only certain minerals will be available on certain planets, and there may be some new ones in the future, and there's certainly going to be reasons to mine and go to Pyro. You might want to mine for certain things because it's a more rich ore there, or because it's one of the only places to get it there. Will they be adding more extreme depth or height to planets? They can have more height differences across planets now, so they've made the global height limits much larger, so they don't want a huge difference in like small local areas because that can cause terrain stretching. They don't have these sort of like sheer cliffs or sort of vertical surfaces because it's very hard to do with their current tech. But as they get optimized shaders and the tech gets better and better, they will be able to have steeper and steeper terrain and have lots of different types of terrain. Will Pyro have flowing lava fields? They want lava, but it's something that they may have to add retroactively to Pyro after release because it might not make the deadline. So there's lots of lava and river based tech that are sort of looking at after sort of rivers come in and they have lava. They want lava rivers probably. Planet tech will continue to see additions and evolve after these hurdles have been overcome. What is the overlap between river, road and lava tech? Well, a lot of things that river tech allows for are then sort of used to aid roads and general lava tech. They mentioned that roads would connect outposts and cities, but we still don't have much context to what this actually means at the scale of Star Citizen. Exactly what is connected, where is it connected, what distance. Will there be explorable oceans? They want water and underwater areas and biomes to have great visual looks and feel, and they can do that. So expect them to have a reasonable amount of biome diversity underwater, and for that to match the planets they're on. They certainly have the ability to have rich underwater gameplay as well, but the specifics of that and exactly to what extent we're going to have underwater gameplay and exploration, the Planet Content team don't know, because it's not their job to say that. They can make it look pretty, they've got the tools to make it look pretty, and they can certainly make the sort of areas interesting. But what gameplay, what's going on there, we don't know yet. Will there be underwater flora? Well, yeah, they've looked at various forms of assets. There's going to be a river inside Star Citizen special in a couple of weeks that might touch on that a bit more, but expect them to talk about assets and how they merge together and some of the stuff you might be able to see around and in rivers. Progress on Nyx? Question mark. So they've done a lot of work on Pyro, but also the Nyx system. Apparently, from the Planet Content team's point of view, Nyx just needs a polish pass to be done from their team's point of view. So they do need like server meshing to come online before they can get it in, but it seems to be a lot further along than I had previously expected. They have experimented with non-spherical planets as well, they went on to say, and moons, but Delamar, for example, is mostly roundish, even though they would love it to look like a potato. Are dense jungle biomes possible with the current tech? Jungles and all biomes and assets need to work at massively long ranges to be seen from space. It's one of the problems with Star Citizen is those levels of detail at incredibly long ranges. You need to be able to see it from orbit, you need to be able to see it from a long way away. That's a jungle, and go, oh wow, and now we have to go really close to the jungle and we can see the individual blades of grass or leaves or whatever. Once they have more optimization, have taken more resources off the CPU and put them onto the GPU, or just made everything more efficient, they will be able to have much more dense, lush foliage and forests and jungles. Touch blending. So this is sort of skeletons in plants and having them be able to bend based on vehicles and people sort of pushing past them or wind blowing them. So this is still being worked on, along with far distance rendering and general plant tech, because they want this sort of foliage to look great. They've talked about colouring the vegetation, and they're going to use like LUTs for that, so lookup tables for colour grading. So these are a very efficient, hacky approach to having these visual changes, but they're also going to use them for seasons. So planets might see seasonal changes, or I suppose biomes as they move into different biomes. In a sort of similarly soiled planets, you might see them effectively just have season changes there where they go, the same plants, but it's in a colder biome now. Other plans for weather and storms and effects for them. Cloud tech is still very much being worked on. They want to have dynamic clouds and weather that can form and dissipate based on various factors. They need to make clouds more performant, and then they want to give them more diversity. They will be looking at dynamic cloud tech after that. So there are going to be hurricanes and similar things like that. We've seen dust storms before as well. First iterations are likely to be static or more scripted than dynamic is what I mean, sort of hand-placed and hand-driven, rather than something that's very dynamic. But eventually, yeah, dynamically driven, terrifying weather. As more teams start to use cloud tech, they can start to build it into these sort of future planets, like the Pyro demo used. So that's just the same cloud tech they currently have in game, used more appropriately. Why are the microtech clouds different from Pyros? Well, fundamentally, they're the same tech, but they use different data. The current system allows for lots of different clouds and variants. Why does only microtech have clouds? Well, it's a bit of a time investment to add more clouds to more planets currently. They're improving the systems and tools. It makes sense for them to add them to planets and moons once they have all those tools in place, so they can have more appropriate clouds for those different atmospheres and gravities and all that sort of stuff, because they don't want just generic ones that all look the same on all planets and moons, because Why are clouds of Jumptown different from that of microtechs? Well, it's because they're using the old 2D clouds. What mechanics will encourage us to use ground vehicles? Extreme weather conditions can prevent players from using ships, but there's also a variety of other reasons that they didn't mention that I will mention here. Base defenses may prevent you from using your ships, or enemy ships being nearby. Maybe there's high gravity or environmental hazards like an occasional EMP that bursts out. Stealth. Maybe you just want to avoid detection, so you use a streamlined vehicle or approach on foot. A location might just be awkward to get to. It might be in an awkward area that ships can't easily get to. But there's lots of reasons that we're going to start to need to use ground vehicles, and they will be supported by the game. Will there be quicksand? Maybe. Will there be volcanoes? It's possible after rivers and lava. They asked the members of the panel which sort of planet in Pyro they liked the most. Each of them had a different one. Pyro 2 has a desert biome, but there is a lot going on there. Pyro 3, there are pretty clouds, and there's moss, and the colours are great. This is the one they showed in the CitizenCon 2951 demo, and they also talked about Pyro 4, that has alien biomes, but also lots of biome diversity. Are more caves on their way? There are lots of things they want to have for caves. And yes, more caves are on their way. They're working on various archetypes now, and they also want to improve the look of rocky caves and then sort of add desert caves. It's one of the current unannounced features on the progress tracker, basically work on caves that they've been doing, but they're starting small. They then want to start moving on to overgrown caves, ice caves, acidic caves, all of which have actually seen some work. And they may have underwater caves too, but there are tech and gameplay dependencies there first. Will there be caves that we can fly through eventually? Well, they're talking about it, and it might happen in the future. Obviously, there are some larger cave entrances at the moment, which are sort of appropriate for that. Could we see sheer cliffs in the future? Can we see overhangs on terrain and cliffs? Apparently, it's very difficult to do that with their procedural tech, and they need to make it look good at all distances. However, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the future apparently, tech improvements that will make this more feasible. Will Star Citizens have wonders of the world on planets, and how feasible is that to do with the procedurally assisted tech? So backers have previously liked interesting bugs like Stego Canyon and weird sort of bugs and things that have appeared. So in the real world, there are odd wonders, and there are odd points of interest that are like, oh, wow, that's strange, like Devil's Tower, and they made a reference to. The procedurally assisted landscapes don't work well for one-offs, so they need to sort of hand-place hero assets if they wanted like a specific wonder of the world or something that's like, oh, wow, sort of like a hero feature. So hero features would still be handcrafted, and there's a balance to that because they want to do a lot of stuff with procedural tech. However, there are possibilities that weird things may form or something that is interesting just based on the procedural tech, just based on randomness happening. You go, well, actually, this is like a wonder itself because it's really strange or really weird, but it's sort of real. It's not a bug. It's just some things being thrown together that goes, ooh, wow. All I'm telling you is there may be really interesting things to find and explore that not even the CIG devs know exist. Why are there some plants and rocks stopping my tank? In the future, they're going to solve this problem. Your tank won't get stuck on tiny shrubs, but the golf cart will, if that's appropriate. This should make planets more generally traversable, but it's going to be based on the location, biome, planet, and your vehicle. Some planets will be very traversable, some won't, some will have roads, some won't, some will have lots of rocks and stuff, and it'll be hellish, so bear that in mind. Has there been work on ArcCorp? So ArcCorp is on the backlog to have some updates. Obviously, it's very different from all the other planets they have in-game. The whole planet is a procedure-generated city, which is very different from other biomes. And obviously, as the other biomes and general planets get work, ArcCorp is very different tech-wise. It's a different beast from all the other planets and moons, so it sort of gets left behind. It will get a bit of a focus again later. Obviously, they are going to be using some of that sort of city-driven procedural tech for other cities in a different way, or in an evolved way, so they do need to come back to ArcCorp at some point, and they will. Boom! That's it for your Planetary and Pyro updates today. It's good to hear that they're actually quite far along with Nyx, and yeah, we're waiting for a lot of this stuff that they talked about to come online, but it's stuff that's happening in the future, so that makes sense. But we're on the road to Pyro, but we don't actually know when that road's going to end. We don't know what that means beyond they're working on it this year. We're hoping that it's this year. It might be this year. But what do you think? Do you expect to see Pyro by the end of the year? Do you think that Nyx will follow soon after that? Do you think Cloud Imperium should tell us more appropriately what the plans are? Are you excited by planetary tech and what is going on with that? What sort of planets and biomes would you like to see in-game? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
Mummy, my friend told me at school today that Star Citizen was a scam. Oh, Tim, is that why you got into a fight? Yes, Mummy. The only scam is people stealing all your internet infos and blocking your ability to watch things on Netflix and such with regional-based access. That's why we use our words, Tim. You should have told those bullies to get NordVPN, and also that Star Citizen is the best damn space sim ever.
Yes, these two people are right. Get NordVPN, and also Star Citizen's great. Also, Timmy was a 35-year-old teacher at the school. And it wasn't even a school, it was a pub, and he was a barman. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for February 2022, it's for an Aegis Saber, the high-tech medium fighter with loads of firepower, but it comes in an auspicious red paint scheme as part of the Red Festival, as well as lifetime insurance and a Star Citizen game package. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning is comment on any of my videos made during the month. You can further support the channel by clicking the join button underneath any of my videos. You can also donate or become a Patreon. Your feedback, though, from comments really helps the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you're looking for a diegetic little controlly boy that makes your Star Citizen experience and potentially some other games pretty good fun on your touchscreen devices, then check out Game Glass. You've got that, you've got NordVPN links, you've got loads of other stuff. All in the links below. Click them all. Click them all. Maybe not all of them. That would be madness.